let's get right into it. I want to get off with some general first impressions for this film because personally, I've seen this twice. I actually saw it yesterday afternoon, and then I went again this morning because I wanted to see it one more time before this live stream. And honestly, I'm glad I did because the first time I was sitting at an 8.5 rating, but after that second viewing, I've went down a little bit. I'm not going to say what yet. I want to save that for the end, but it kind of hurt rewatching this because I really felt the runtime this time. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that always shows that there's some room for improvement when it comes to the editing and pacing of the film. I feel like a lot of movies have this problem, and this isn't just a Batman thing, especially when you run it 3 hours long. Avengers Endgame sort of has the same problem, but overall, I thought Pattinson fucking killed it as the titular character as Batman. We'll get more into the Bruce Wayne stuff later. I have some thoughts about that, but overall, I thought he killed it as the Batman. And man, this is one of the most brutal Batmans we've gotten, especially for a PG-13 rating. And I'm really glad that Warner Brothers let Matt Reeves kind of go to that bordering the edge of what's R, what's PG-13. Because if you add a little bit of blood to this and a few more curse words, like a few more fucks, this could have been an easy R-rated movie because they like doing that to Zack Snyder's movies and his DC films for whatever reason. But yeah, a lot to talk about. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, phenomenal. And my God, I know the Penguin wasn't in this film a lot, but Colin Farrell was great as the Penguin.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot to talk about. I don't want to talk about it all just by myself. Let's go down the list. What's going on, Deebs? I know you've been waiting for this film for a while. You're the first one to see it out of all five of us. And I know you've been waiting to talk about this one for a hot minute now. So, bro, what are your reactions on this movie?
I literally canceled the Sixers game tonight just because I know this is going to be a long fucking show and there's so much to talk about. But real quick, I loved every single second of this film. That opening intro was pure fucking cinema. It gave us like our first impression of what, how the world of Gotham truly views Batman. When you see, how shaken up the criminals are, looking behind every single corner of every single shadow and expecting Batman to be there. That was just an amazing moment. This first 20, 30 minutes of this film is absolutely perfect. I like that we started in year 2 and we see Batman kind of already established. He's still learning, and we're going to be talking a lot about that tonight. It's an origin movie without covering the same ground that we've seen so many times before, and that kind of speaks volumes in that scene where you see Robert Pattinson's Batman stare at that boy who just lost his father and now orphan. And, it just that single scene alone speaks so many volumes. It speaks 1,000 words. It was done so well. It truly, there's so much to talk about here, but in the end, it starts at the foundation, and that is Matt Reeves. He absolutely crushed it, giving us just this amazing, coherent film. And there's just the way he handled the visual storytelling of this movie is incredible. This is not only one of my favorite Batman movies of all time, this will go down as one of my favorite movies of all time. That's how high I am on this. This is the movie I've been waiting for my entire life.
When it comes to the opening first 20 minutes, I think Matt Reeves does a perfect job at setting up this universe, the villain, and the Batman himself, and his reputation throughout Gotham by setting up this super gothic but also kind of updated version of the Tim Burton verse. We got that super gothic tone, but then you got the super brightness of the LEDs from, like, let's say Blade Runner or something I've got in my room right now. And it's a really good mix of character within its own city. And I think Matt Reeves really explores that well. And something I found really interesting, kind of just like tickled my filmmaking pickle, I guess you can say, is when you're introduced to the Riddler kind of stalking the mayor's family in the very opening scene, when Jim Gordon explains how they think it all unfolded, it's in the exact order of events that you see him cut to. From coming in from the skylight, you see a skylight shot right before you go into the apartment. And it's those little type of things that I feel like the filmmakers and all of us can really appreciate, other than just the visual style that's really different from every other Batman film, I'd say. But Loretto, my man, how are you doing? How are you feeling? You feeling crunky? Your nipples a little tight after seeing this movie?
Good evening, all. You know, immediately, like first impression, hyperbole, hype, and excitement. Walking out the theater, I was like, yeah. But you know, second watch, I did kind of notice spots that, not that I wasn't fond of, but I just feel like things could have been more tight. Things could have been condensed a little bit. I don't think it earned its 3-hour runtime, in my opinion. I think it lingers on a lot of spots that it probably could have sped things up a little bit. I think the first 30 to 40 minutes is fantastic cinema. And I also appreciate that we as a group, and actually, you know what? Hold up. Pump the brakes. We as a group, we have one of our original suit up geeks here. We are fully assembled. Suit up geeks assembled. So I just want to celebrate that. This is awesome. Glad to see you, AJ.
It's good to be back a little bit. Just a little bit.
But yeah, going back to the topic. Also, what's up to Wesley, who's watching this from work? Sorry to keep you busy from work.
No, it's fine. We're entertaining him. Work's boring as fuck, obviously.
But yeah, first 30, 40 minutes. We went into this watching Chinatown Taxi Driver, and that's where my mind went. We got the voiceover, the narration 100% reminded me of like Travis Bickle, but not as like off the rails, but edgy, broken man that wants to clean up the city, but he's like, you know, he's obviously like torn apart by what happened to him, and I think that was very interesting to see, but it kind of lingers on for pretty much the rest of the film, and he never, even when he's Bruce Wayne, he never fully takes off the cowl. Like he is Batman every second of this picture. What's up, Dad?
Did you see Batman as Travis Bickle, or did you see Edward as Travis Bickle? Because I was more Edward on my end.
No. I just meant the narration style.
Oh, okay.
And also it felt like Batman was writing in a journal, the same way that De Niro was writing in his journal in his film. It was just a stylistic choice with the voiceover, I thought. Amanda, you look like you want to say something.
No, I kind of want to answer Gabe, but you finish your thoughts, Loretto.
Okay, just first impressions though. I really, really, really loved it. I don't think it's the best Batman picture. I think if this film would have came out 10 years ago, or no, maybe 15 years ago, and it came out before The Dark Knight, I would have been like, this is the best Batman ever. But going into a full Nolan rewatch into this, it almost set my expectations almost too high, and it's not fair because this is a really good film, whether or not it's Batman and whether or not, like, as a film on its own, it's a perfectly fine film. It's just, I think my expectations were too high, and it kind of, it left me more at like a 4.5 versus a 5 stars, if that makes sense. So
it's fair.
4.5 down from a 5. Okay, Loretto, you're being nice, I see today. For someone who sounded super disappointed, that's very high. But you know what? What's going on, AJ? How you feeling about the Batman?
Wait, before I go, let Amanda answer Gabe's question.
I was waiting for her to jump in, but
no, I didn't want to like interrupt, but I'm gonna say I understand. Relax. I want to give everyone ample time to say their thoughts. For this one, I think that with Falcone is that he needed to have that conversation with Bruce 100%. I don't think it undercuts anything. I think that he had to like tell his version of the truth to cover his ass. So I don't necessarily think that was a bad thing. And then I just think it made that scene with Andy Serkis with Alfred just that more powerful, to be honest, to be emotionally connected to both of them, and about the legacy of the Waynes. So I don't really think it undercut that whatsoever. So
also, let's keep in mind the true essence of Falcone. He's a liar. He's a thief.
He's a mobster.
He's a mob boss, basically.
Yeah.
So he will hide the truth a little bit. He'll tell the truth, but he'll put in lies to make the truth more believable. So when Bruce came back to Alfred, he understood where Thomas was coming from.
Like a writing standpoint, it seems very weird to tell the audience that it's this character that we've never met, even within that mob family. For 3 hours, we're told about the Maroney family, but we're never shown them. And I think that's where it kind of, I don't want to say like took me the wrong way, but just made me sit down and was just like, I don't know how this is really a twist when you never introduce any of these people. I don't know how people sit here and just, I don't know how Batman believes him instantly. He just takes his word for it, which kind of bothered me for a man who just seems super skeptical about everybody. So he kind of just like, you know what? I'm just going to believe the one guy in the city I probably shouldn't believe.
This is year 2 Batman. Come on.
I didn't see that as that, though. I saw it where I did believe that he did believe him a little bit, but not fully. That's why he went back to Alfred. That's why I believe he went back to Alfred to confront that truth, if it was true or not. So I don't believe that Bruce actually believed him fully.
But I think he believed them, but only confronted Alfred because he was mad with him and not because he wanted to find out the quote unquote truth.
It could be a little bit of both. I do believe that it is Batman we're talking about. So and throughout the whole movie, you see him not believing in anybody really until near the end. He doesn't believe in Selina a little bit. That's why he's been with Gordon for a year basically.
Still but he pretty much trusts Gordon throughout the movie. He never really questions him.
No, but he does have his suspicions. He doesn't. For me, he doesn't really have to question them verbally. You can just pull back his eyes, his acting, and all of that.
He said he did hold back. He said that was me going soft.
He did say he held back. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has that connection with Gordon, though. Like that's important.
And Gordon
to know.
was willing to take the punch for him, and I think that's what really showed it. And
to be fair, Gordon did tell him to punch him. So
I agree, but I think that whole interaction of after he goes unconscious and they're in the interrogation room with all of them surrounding him, I feel like the entire time he knows exactly what he's thinking and he's just going along with it, even from when he pushes him up against the barrier wall. Because he is on year 2. There seemed to be no reason not to trust him or to make him seem like he would turn his back on him. Or at least I don't know why they would make it seem like Gordon would turn his back on him when we're only really just meeting Gordon 40 minutes ago, and we don't really have a good sense yet of what that first year was like for their relationship. Because if I'm being honest, they seem, I don't want to say close, but they seem close for Batman's relationship with anybody, if that makes sense.
Well, for me, I don't. It is a close relationship, but it's not a personal relationship yet. It's more of a professional relationship. We get we're told the backstory of like Gordon and what's the commissioner's name again? I can't remember the commissioner's name, but
it's fine. The movie forgot about.
I can't remember his name, but you hear their story on how Gordon trusts him a lot because of how their character interacted with the Maroney family and how they helped. In Gordon's case, he thought that they were busting him down, but in general, he wasn't. But for me, it's a tough situation because of how Gotham is created. You have people that's there that seem trustworthy, but at the same time, they're not really trustworthy. And that's where I get the sense for Batman is he's trying to be close to Gordon, but at the same time he wants to be close because he doesn't feel like he fully trusts him. You know that saying, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer, basically. So that's the way I'm coming from.
What are your overall thoughts on the movie?
I loved it. Everything. I agree with Dibes on this one. Everything from the cinematography. The sound design was incredible, especially during that car, the Batmobile scene. That was just incredible for me. The action choreography, always wanted a great action from Batman. Finally got it. Great detective story. There's a reason why we're all comparing this to Seven, basically. So it's, for me, it's not just a great Batman movie. It is a great movie in general. It doesn't have to be a perfect movie, but for me, it is a perfect movie. I'm just going to say it there. The runtime, 3 hours, or technically 2 hours and 40 minutes plus the credits.
It's 2:56 with everything at the end.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's still there. For me, I thought that the time was perfect for what Matt Reeves was trying to go for. Um, would I put in a little bit more information between the mystery between the Arkhams? Yes, I would. But we are getting the Arkham series for a reason, so there's that. So most of my criticisms are actually being are coming to light. Basically, I wanted more of the Arkham backstory. We're going to get that. I want more backstory from the Underground. We're going to get that too with the Penguin series. So that those are basically like the only criticisms I have with the movie, and they're going to expand on it within the future series and movies.
And what about you, Mando? What are your overall thoughts on this movie?
I obviously Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. It was never sold from day one. He still didn't feel like Bruce Wayne to me. But here's the thing: this movie just felt really refreshing, unique, and different than what we would normally get for a Batman film. And I think that I grew tired of the whole Playboy persona because it's very repetitive, and that's all they focused on. So in this case, I think I can kind of look past the fact that for me, Rob doesn't really look or feel like Bruce, but his performance as Batman, which is like 70 to 80% of the film, is brilliant. It's just so different, and we get that detective side of it, as we've been saying, and it's just really important to get that side of him, which I really enjoyed. So that opening, as Dives was saying, like it felt like a prologue. You hear him speaking, you get a sense of who Batman is from the shadows, all of that. Sound design, cinematography, Greg Fraser, you're a god. Like I was just sitting there in awe of certain things. Like the technical aspects are great. The camera work is fantastic. You're sitting there and you're in the cowl. You're observing everything. And I think that's really sick that they made it kind of like interactive as well, like from the video games. And there's some aspects from the Telltale games, which I did play, which was a lot of fun. And I was just like making little notes of that. So overall, I think it's a very strong Batman film. It's really different. And that's what I can appreciate from Matt Reeves, Helio. But I do feel like structurally, it's not the best. The script is also not the strongest. It does kind of falter in the third act. I think that like last half hour could have been tacked on to a sequel instead of shoving it at the end of this. Or else like the rogues were great, as I said before, and like all of my reviews. The villains don't really overpower Bruce Wayne. They don't overpower Batman. They kind of work together in Gotham City. And I think that's just really important for the story they're trying to tell. So overall, I did enjoy it. I don't know if it's the best Batman for me yet. I have to watch it again and I have to watch The Dark Knight again. So that's where I'm sitting at.
I will say with the Bruce Wayne criticism, I would say that this is still. I feel like that Matt Reeves was trying to focus on Batman a little bit more than other Batman movies because of Batman's story arc. Bruce Wayne died in the alley. Batman is the true Bruce Wayne, or whatever you want to say, and I do believe that the reason why he chose to do what he's doing is because this is the first time where we as an audience are seeing Batman. God, we're seeing Batman in this light basically, and he doesn't know what to do with this Bruce Wayne persona because he's not on that level yet. He's not that billionaire persona type of level, and we actually get a conversation with Bruce Wayne and Alfred talking about that. You need to keep up appearances, Alfred. That's what basically he's saying. And Bruce Wayne was like, no, I don't want to do that. So he just chose not to do it. And I like how they put that in the movie to help resolve a little bit of that criticism, which for me, I actually liked. And if we did get more Bruce Wayne, we wouldn't have as much as Batman as we get in this movie, which is, for me, is the best part of the movie. So